We need to understand what is the concept of knowledge and to understand how it has evolved over the last 2 or 3 millennia. The Greek philosophers were the first that we have documented history about, discussed the concept of knowledge. And their conclusion was that knowledge had to be absolute truth. There were in fact 2 types of knowledge according to the Greeks. Episteme, which gives us epistemology today, and episteme type of knowledge was absolute truth. What did they mean by absolute truth? They meant mathematics, and to them mathematics was primarily geometry. Also logic was a part of that scheme. The logic that would allow you to conclude from, and all of you remember taking this in your lower grade school days, if this angle is this and this angle is that and these whatever hypotenuse and the sides are this, then you can conclude something like Pythagorean's theorem. So the Greeks believed it had to be absolute knowledge, and that was called episteme. Their alternative to that, you're getting a little ahead of me there, Darius, I'm still on that slide, thank you. The alternative to that was doxa, and doxa to the Greeks was experiential knowledge, and they didn't consider that knowledge at all. So for instance, some names that you might recognize, such as Archimedes, who is often thought to be the father of engineering, was not considered to be knowledgeable by the Greeks. You might recognize the name Hippocrates, the Hippocratic Oath in the medical profession. Certainly, whether he was the father of medicine, I don't know, but certainly he had a well-established name in the field of medicine. He was not considered to be knowledgeable by the Greeks. It had to be absolute truth. Things changed considerably 1,000 to 1,500 years later, in the Middle Ages. When you hear about their concept of knowledge, you might understand why we sometimes called it the Dark Ages. In that period, we call it the scholastic method. The scholastic method, or the people who espoused the scholastic method, believed that all knowledge was already known, and it was in the heads of the most knowing. And we'll call those people professors. Well, what do you think professors can do? The root word of being a professor is to profess, to speak something. So we'll give those professors a title called Doctor of Philosophy. They can be the instructors in the universities, and the university system started up at that time. To put a date on this, it's in the neighborhood of 1200 to 1250 or so, AD. So the concept of the scholastic method, that all knowledge was already known. It just needed to be transferred between professors and given to those who could aspire to be professors at some time in the future. A great outbreak and explosion of knowledge took place at a later era, around 1600, 1650 or so. It was called the Industrial Revolution. This is getting now more into modern times. The concept in the Industrial Revolution was the scientific method. The scientific method said, there's a wealth of knowledge out there. We don't even have any idea about how much there is. Let's go find out about it and make use of it. Darius, I'm not seeing my PowerPoint slides anymore. I'm seeing Chennai. Hi,
That's
Chennai.
fine. That's okay. We're going to just vary that for a while.
Okay, that's fine. Then I will use my my own screen here. Fortunately, I have my screen on the side. All right, so we mentioned the Industrial Revolution. One of the key discoveries during that era was the scientific method. And as we get into knowledge management, we'll come to appreciate that the scientific method is an important aspect of knowledge management, but we'll talk more about that maybe a little later this morning. The last era is the modern era, and people can argue as to when that started. I'd like you to consider the following. How many people think the modern era is called the information age? Can I see some raises of hands there? You don't need to depress your mic button. How many people think we're in the information age? I think most all of you should say that. Down there at, oops, now I'm not seeing who it is. Some of those other sites, I didn't see any raising of hands. If we had a lot more time, I would ask you, what age do you think we're in? I believe, okay, thank you. Now I see, this is Mumbai I'm looking at right now. A few of you there raised your hand. How about over on the on Harriet's right? Do you guys think it's the information age? Okay, thank you. Very good, thank you. I don't agree with you. See, I was setting you up for that. Now, some of you might have known I was going to tease you. Harriet certainly knows that I always ask questions and give you the alternative. Many of us think we are in the information age. The information age probably started around 1950 or so, give or take 10 years. And I would make a claim that the information age has already ended. The information age has probably given us all the data and information that we can use. In fact, the information age gave us broadband so that we can see each other and talk from 8 or however many thousands of miles or 12,000 kilometers apart from each other. One might ask, what are we going to do with all that data and information? In fact, you might even think we have a glut of data and information. What we're going to do with all that data and information requires knowledge. So my contention, one that you can probably go along with, is we are now entering the knowledge age. The information age was one of the shortest-lived ages, maybe only 50 years. It was the prerequisite for the knowledge age. So those of you who think we're in the information age, that's fine. I wouldn't say you're wrong, because the information age will continue to be a requirement. But I think now we're about to enter the knowledge age, and that's going to bring some different attitudes and applications and thought process on our part. In terms of being in the knowledge age, let's think about a definition of the concept of knowledge, or a definition of the word knowledge itself. Now I'm going to put up on the screen 3 different definitions. A rules or technologist-oriented definition, and one for those of you who might have some training or learning background, Bloom's taxonomy definition, Darius. And then third, wake up over there, there you go, thank you. And then third, a definition that was derived by a fellow named Baraba and a fellow named Heckel, one from General Motors and the other from IBM. I'd like you to read those 3 definitions, and I'll give you a moment to do that, and then we're going to take a vote. Which definition do you prefer? I'll give you a moment.
Can't read it.
Yeah.
It's not
on
their eyes, so can you just read? Shall I just read them out? Or?
No.
Yeah, we'll just put them
Can
on
we go
full screen.
Okay, give us a second, it'll go into full screen.
Darius, Darius. Okay. Okay, you've had your opportunity, and I can't see all of you to get a sense for the votes, because now I'm only looking at Chandigarh and Kolkata, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm used to Calcutta, but it's Kolkata. If I can go back.
I've got a comment to offer. I feel flooded with information, but I can't make out if there's any knowledge in it. I mean, I can't read it, actually.
Touché.
Okay, could we go to the full screen on that? Now, those of you who have a hard copy, it should be in your hard copy, if you're following along in the hard copy.
It's not there in our
Douglas,
hard copy.
just an update for everyone. They will not. I don't think they have a hard copy of the presentation, because the presentation, as when we spoke, was going to be live. So they don't have it with them. So I think if you just read it out while
now
it's
it's
going
full
full
screen.
screen, it'll save time. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Read it.
It's okay now. Okay, well, let me read it then. The first of the 3 different definitions is what I would consider to be a rules-based, and my own personal opinion would be that it's geared more towards technologists, but I wouldn't want to give you any preconceived notions about that, but I expect those of you in the group that are technologists would probably like this one. It says validated hierarchical network of procedural, which is to know how to do something, and declarative rules, which is to know something is true, and maybe the why. They're useful and predictive and explanatory power, and also a causal relationship, rationale for decisions, and a context, decision circumstances and assumptions. That's one type of definition about knowledge. Another taps into the people that are in the learning or the training profession. When they went to school, they learned Bloom's taxonomy. And Bloom's taxonomy said there are 6 levels of knowledge: recall, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, with obviously analysis, synthesis, and evaluation being the higher levels of knowledge. And then finally, another hierarchy proposed by the folks from GM and IBM, a framework that starts off with data, information, intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom.